What's the one huge advantage that Coastal Carolina has over Arizona? It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right. Also, please thank you for continuing to support the channel. Please subscribe on YouTube as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We're going to have a record-setting month both on YouTube and the audio downloads. Thank you very much. All right. We'll talk about the Coastal Carolina advantage here. We'll do the Arizona advantage, potentially. And ULM hires a new baseball coach. We'll ask a question about that. All right. What is the huge advantage that Coastal Carolina has? They have many, actually. 23 in a row is impressive. They are the number 2 ERA team in the nation. That's impressive. They have 53 wins. That's impressive. They're the better team. Okay. They are. However, this is not a series right now anyways. It could be 3 games. They could come back around. If they come back around, you can come back around and play each other. And then if the other team wins, who doesn't win on the first game, then they play 3 games. All right. But right now it's just 1 ball game. All right. And I'll take Cam Flukie. Okay. However, the one glaring advantage is not only the speed of Coastal Carolina, but the defense of Coastal Carolina. All right. Now, in a series, 2 out of 3, 3 out of 5, or 4 out of 7, which you don't get on the college level, pro you do. It is a big difference. All right. Coastal Carolina, 106 stolen bases out of 135 attempts. That's enormous. They have thrown out 30 of 48 base runners. The important number there is not only, I'll rephrase that. That's not true. They've thrown out 17. They've thrown out 18 of 48 base runners. 30 have made it. All right. I said that wrong. 48 attempted base stealers. 30 have made it. They have thrown out 18. All right. Last week it was both Auburn and Coastal Carolina. Both have thrown out 17 base stealers. All right. Almost the same exact percentage. One had like 45 attempted. One had 47. All right. But that's the key number, is the 40 is the low numbers compared to Arizona, both offensively and defensively. Arizona only has 70 stolen bases attempted, 48 stolen bases. 18 of them are by Aaron Walton. Not quite half, but close to a third. And then Brendan Summerhill has 11. He has the other 11. He's got 11. And Maddox Malakis has 5 out of 10. All right. So they don't steal very many bases at all. The key, though, is 88 stolen bases attempted against them. They do throw out a good number, 25. They have 63 stolen bases against. But the point is, whereas last week we saw Caden Bodine's number and the Auburn catchers both throw out would-be base stealers, and not a lot of base stealing against them. Less than 1 per ball game in terms of even attempting. whereas we're doing at least one per ball game, if not more than that, and certainly successful more than that. That is the huge advantage that Coastal Carolina has. Now, it's not going to be Cade Modine. That is not his shtick. He's only got 2 stolen bases in 9 attempts. So probably not going to be his thing if he gets on. But that can be everybody else, right? Sebastian Alexander, 27 out of 32. Even Kobe Thorndike, 7 out of 7. Ty Dooley, 5 out of 8. Wells Sykes, bottom of the lineup, 17 out of 20. Walker Mitchell, 11 out of 14. Blake Barthol, 12 out of 15. Right? Everybody else can steal a base. And that's how you can spin a game out of control really fast. If we take what they said last week, and Owen Karamkowski was nervous in terms of his walks, because he had pitched well. In fact, interestingly enough, he had back-to-back good outings against BYU, where he gave up no runs on 4 hits in 6 innings. And then Cal Poly in the regional, 1 run on 8 hits in 7 innings. And then got hit hard against Carolina. But before that, he gave up 6 runs on 8 hits in 5 1/3 innings against Houston. Gave up 7 runs, 5 earned, in 4 innings against Utah. 3 runs on 6 hits in 5 innings against TCU. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Did have a good outing against Texas Tech. 1 run on 8 hits, 7 innings against Texas Tech. 4 runs on 9 hits in 5 innings against BYU. That's not great. Blanked Oklahoma State, but we're already going back to April 12th. So more times than not, he's had some good outings where he's only given up 1 run or less. But those are few and far between. So he had 2 good outings against BYU and Cal Poly. So that is the Big 12 tournament and the regional, but not the super. If you can spin him out of control by getting on base and running and having him not focus on the batter, we see what happens. Not necessarily with running, but runs can pile up fast. Coastal Carolina was down 5-4. They tied it up against ECU. The next thing you know, it was 15-5. They went on to win 18-7. Things can happen fast. And Coastal Carolina, although they will play for 1 or 2 runs with the bunt, although Blake Barthol, I'm still befuddled by Blake Barthol not bunting against Auburn. He still got the runner over with the fly ball to center, but that still shocked me. They can run and really put pressure on the defense. Although they did run themselves out of the inning. That may have been more execution than bad decision-making. Anyway, that is the one huge advantage that I see that Coastal Carolina has. What might be the one advantage that Arizona has? We'll talk about that next, right after I tell you about Game Time. There's nothing like the NBA playoffs, the intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live, and this year's matchups are already delivering. If you want in, Game Time makes it fast and easy to get seats, even for the biggest playoff games. Prices on the app actually drop closer to tip-off, and with killer last-minute deals, panoramic seat views, and no surprise fees, Game Time is a total game changer. Looked on the app just before recording. It's a Friday afternoon game at 1 p.m. You can get Coastal Carolina and Arizona tickets for $21 per ticket, plus the fees. Are you kidding me? Go to the Game Time app and go get those tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, we even saw David Kelly, who was great catching up with him. Really, we knew each other back in 1993. Great catching up with him. He tried to come up with an advantage that Arizona might have. All right, and he was trying to tell me, well, they're hot. They can't be any hotter than Coastal Carolina. They're the hottest team in the nation, right? They overtook Northeastern and Southern Miss. So you can't be any hotter than the hottest team in the nation, right? And they didn't do it with necessarily pitching. Their bats came around. They did enough pitching on Sunday, where they did get some good pitching. They didn't get great pitching on Saturday, not at all in the Super Regional. Got enough pitching, but didn't really get good starting pitching in that one either. But got enough pitching on Sunday. They did have their bats come around, that's for sure. Okay. This is the one advantage that Arizona might have. All right. And this is a stretch. All right, because it's a little flipped. All right. We remember what Joe Catanacci said when they said, we're just glad to be here in 2016. We're going to win it this time. So the pressure's on Coastal because I believe they're going to play for the national championship. I do. I think they're going to get to the other side. The pitching is all going to matter on how many games the other team plays, who is on that other side. I'll be honest with you, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about Arkansas. They're the favorite. I know more about LSU. They got two really good pitchers. They don't have a whole lot more than that. So we'll see if they have the depth. If they end up losing a ball game, that's not going to be easy. And they're playing Arkansas. The two favorites are playing each other. So we'll see what happens. But the pressure is on Coastal Carolina. So if it gets late and they're behind, although we've seen it, they may tighten up a little bit. I don't think so, but that's a stretch. The advantage that Arizona has, I think, is that they're playing with house money. They are thrilled to be here. They made the pitching adjustments like 3 weeks ago. They weren't going to be here, right? This is all fun and games for them. Do they think they can win it? You bet, right? They won the Big 12 tournament. They won the regional. They went into Carolina, and after getting their butts kicked in at 18-2, they're sitting in Omaha. Don't think for a second they don't think they can win it. At the same time, though, Coastal Carolina is the third favorite to win it. I think Arizona is only ahead of Murray State in terms of odds. But they're playing with the advantage they have, they're playing with a reckless abandon. They may try some things that they may not normally do. They may, risk a couple of things to push the envelope because they may need to do so to win it. All right. That's what I think. All right. They are here because they changed things up 3 weeks ago, according to David Kelly. That's insane. You don't usually see that. Stay the course. We believe in what we're doing. We have the players. We have the talent. They just have to believe in themselves. That's coach speak. That's usually what we get. But they changed some things up. Manager went from the dugout to the third base coach, not because the third base coach was doing poorly, but because they needed the hitting coach inside talking to the players. And they tweaked some things. I'm going to guess made things more simple. That's what I'm going to get. Maybe they were just trying to do too much on the mound, and they're just trying to do things a little bit more simple. and trying to accentuate the strengths of the pitchers compared to trying to figure out the weakness of the other team. You can have a game plan, but we're going to stick with our game plan. And so far it has worked, at least for Arizona. But I think that's where they have their advantage. They're going to play with a reckless abandon. I'm not sure Coastal is going to do that. I think Coastal is going to play with a little bit more closer to the vest. And the pressure, as ridiculous as this sounds, is definitely on Coastal. They're the favorite in this matchup. They're the better team, right? I guess I was out on a limb saying that Coastal was better than Auburn because one was the SEC team and one was the Sun Belt team. One was the national seed and one was not. One was the 13th seed, one was the 4th seed. But just looking at the numbers, I thought that Coastal was the better team. This, I don't think, is particularly close. Coastal is the better baseball team. That doesn't mean they're going to win. But Coastal is the better baseball team. But Arizona is playing with such confidence and such reckless abandon. I'm sure they're, they say what all underdogs say, why not us? Right? They're going to point to Murray State. Murray State just beat Duke. Why can't we just do those same things? We got as far as they have. Why can't we beat Coastal Carolina? They're going to say the same thing, right? And as we've mentioned, you can do all the things right compared to all the other sports. Baseball is fluky. You can have a flare fall in. You can have a line drive caught. You get a bad call go against you. You can have a ricochet off a pitcher's glove, that goes for a hit or that goes for an out. That's baseball. Right. No, it'll be interesting. Again, it may be a stretch, but I do believe that's a little bit of an advantage that the pressure is on Coastal and Arizona's playing with a reckless abandon. All right. ULM has named a new baseball coach. Very, very young. Very young. We'll talk about that next, right after I thank everybody. All right. Again, a few subscribers over 2,000. Really appreciate that. Also, please, again, do those audio downloads, Apple and Spotify. I believe it's wherever you get your podcasts from, but those are by far the most popular. In fact, I think 50% is from Apple Podcasts. It's a big help. And again, we're going to set, I don't know about a record-setting month audio-wise. It's certainly going to be about 50% more. In fact, could be about 100% more than it was 2 months ago. Not quite a record-setting for audio. Video could be record-setting. So we really do appreciate that. And, of course, the longer Coastal plays, the better chance that has to happening. So really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Still trying to get to New Orleans. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I could always ask for the days off and then not take them, I guess. All right. Just rescind them. Is that a thing? I don't know if you can do that at work. Anyways, thank you very much. Let's get back to it as ULM names their new baseball coach. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. New baseball coach for the ULM Warhawks, Ford Pemberton. Oh, man, oh, man. When I say young, I mean young. Ford was born 2 months before I graduated college. That's young. He just turned 34 years of age. That's young. He is actually from Bossier City. Apparently has 2 degrees. LSU, went to LSU. I don't know if he played. Did he play at LSU? And Arkansas State. And he's coming from Memphis. And he also coached at Southeastern. Let's see what he is here. Okay. He was an assistant coach at Byrd High School, director of baseball operations at Nichols, assistant coach at Nichols, Southeastern Louisiana assistant coach, and assistant coach and recruiting coordinator at Memphis. Okay. So he's got some experience. I mean, really young, 34 years of age. All right. And let's be clear. Obviously, this is a difficult job, as ULM is always a difficult job. We know this. All right. Did they ask the guy who went 59-0? Is that a thing? Because the LSU Shreveport guy for the Pilots went 59-0. Brad Neffendorf, 59-0. And has some head coaching experience, obviously. All right. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I know that's a lower level, but that's head coaching experience. Head coaching experience. I don't know if he was asked or not. All right. So we'll see how Ford does. Again, we've brought this up about, guys who have head coaching experience. I guess basically we brought it up with, Mississippi State hiring their football coach, without any head coaching experience. And that's why the South Alabama football coach ended up taking the Alabama defensive coordinator's job, because that was a better way to get a head coaching Power 5 job, or Power 4, as the case may be. Kane Womack, I don't think, was up for that Mississippi State job, even though he had been a successful head coach, including 10 wins, won a bowl game, went to a bowl game, didn't get the job. So now he's at Alabama, and we'll see if hopefully that works out for him. Whereas Jeff Lebby got the Power 5 job because he was running a high-powered offense. He had 2 wins last year. All right. And we know he's playing Southern Miss. All right. Not that I'm saying Ford, I'm not saying Ford's doing a bad job. I'm going to be the last person to know anything about baseball assistants. Meanwhile, football assistants. But I know the head coach at LSU Shreveport went 59-0. Is all I'm saying. Ford is that assistant from a higher level getting the head coaching job, whereas we had a head coaching guy at a lower level not get the gig. I find that fascinating. Again, I don't know if it was considered. I presume a search firm did this. You need someplace to start, especially if you're talking to Memphis assistants. And I think somebody else had turned them down. Maybe the Stetson assistant turned them down. Right? So, just interesting. All right. And we'll see. Again, it's not his lack of head coaching experience that gets me. It's that he was born March 8th, 1991. That gets me. I mean, I guess I could go back to the calendar. I do know, when the weekend I graduated, it was, like the first weekend in May, 1991 is when I graduated college. And so that's how young he is. So it would have been, May 4th or 5th is when I graduated college. So exactly 2 months after he was born. That's how young he is. So we wish him all the best. Again, all tides raises boats, something along. I'm not saying that right, but everyone does better, You're only as strong as your weakest link. That's correct. All right. And so some of the reason why Troy didn't get in is because some of the Sun Belt wasn't as good. Maybe if Coastal would have been a national seed if some of the Sun Belt was better. Now, Troy and Coastal can't control that. That's out of their control. But that doesn't mean it's not wrong. So the better that some of these are, and so next year, right, we're going to be looking at Arkansas State making a run. We're going to be looking at Marshall making a run. We're going to be seeing if the Cajuns can get back to what Cajuns baseball are. Next year, we're going to be looking at, 4 or 5 teams going back. Southern Miss has to, replace J.B. Middleton. Jacob Morrison's coming back. I know Caden Botine isn't. There's going to be a bunch of guys that have to be replaced, but we'll see if some of those up-and-coming teams are ready to go. I think ODU is going to be in their stadium, right? And they had an odd year for sure. We'll see how they do. And so there are some teams that are starting to compete. I'm not sure if they're necessarily ready to challenge the Southern Misses and the Coastals, but certainly could find themselves, lifting up the Sun Belt and finding themselves in, NCAA contention. Now, part of that, you got to schedule better. You can't have a crappy RPI. That's not going to help. So somewhere along the way, you do need to schedule better. You need to put yourself in a position to have an RPI that's, put yourself in a position to get to the NCAA tournament. Not only by having some of those games, but by winning some of those games. This year, compared to the previous year, the Cajuns scheduled some tough games. They didn't win them. They weren't very good, but they had the teams there to play. They just didn't play them. Whereas the year before, they had a cakewalk schedule and they ended up with the amount of wins that they got. And they got in with an at-large berth and a regular season title. It all works out. All right. So, congratulations to Ford Pemberton, 34 years of age, getting his first head coaching job. Hope it works out for ULM. Just would be interested if they asked the guy who went 59-0, who's in your backyard. Would be interested to know that. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do have Thursday off. All right. We will unfortunately be on tour during the first pitch of the ball game. Although right after that, I will be off. So I'll be able to see while cleaning dishes, I guess, the rest of the ball game. So we'll be able to see some of the game towards the end, and we'll wrap it up. I'm sure I'll do a quick video after the game, and then we'll have a full episode on Saturday following the game for sure. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great Thursday, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Friday. Another preview of the matchup between Coastal Carolina and Arizona.